The applications of the trigonometric functions are something that you may not realize are used on a regular basis and that you may even use at some point yourself now that you know them. For example, suppose you're cutting down a tree and you want to know how tall it is. You want to see if it's going to land on your house when you cut it down. Well, you don't want to have to climb up the tree to measure it, but you can use trigonometric functions to do that. You would need an instrument to measure the angle. So if you back up 40 feet from the tree, which you could do reasonably, and then you could use a special instrument that a surveyor would use to measure the angle. Well, then to figure out the height of the tree, notice that the tangent of that angle is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. We know the adjacent side and we know the angle. So with some basic algebra, we can determine the height of the tree. If I measure this angle to be 61 degrees, 55 minutes, and 39 seconds, remember the first thing we're going to have to do is convert that into a decimal. So we're going to have 61 plus 55 over 60 plus 39 over 3600, which is going to give us 61.9275 degrees. We can now plug in the tangent of 61.9275 is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Well, we know the adjacent side because we backed up that far and we can measure it to be 40. And when we use our calculator, we multiply 40 times the tangent of 61.9275, and we obtain a height of 75 feet tall. A second example might be, suppose you have a ladder. You know the length of the ladder is 16 feet, but the directions might say that it's only safe if you use it at a 75-degree angle. Well, you need to figure out how far back does that ladder need to be in order for it to be safe. We now know the hypotenuse, which is 16 feet. We know the angle. What we're trying to figure out is how far back do we put the ladder? Well, that relationship is cosine. The cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. Again, we can calculate the value of the cosine of 75 degrees adjacent, and we know the hypotenuse is 16. And with multiplication, we can calculate 16 times the cosine of 75, which is equal to 4.41 feet. And that tells us how far back to put the ladder in order to keep it safe.